Okay. Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach. I am doing okay. I'm live on YouTube. Let me tell you all what I'm doing. Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach. I'm going live with three lucky contestants who have agreed to get career coach from me live on YouTube today. It's a Monday. Many people are off depending on where you are in the world. And so I was like, let's talk about some career things. So what I'm going to do for those who are watching the replay back, give me just a moment. It may be a second or two before we get started. I just need to do some logistical stuff on my end to let the people know we are live, and then we're going to get into it. But the purpose of this is for um meta learning, right? I don't know what the things are that the three people who have volunteered to be here today are going to share with me. It's just going to be live coaching. Um, but I am confident in that whatever it is, it will be helpful to whoever is watching this live replay back. Now, let me send an email to let people know we are live. Did I click the right link? Um, I already know that we have one social worker who is in another country. So this is going to be interesting. We have one social worker who actually is in my group career coaching program, the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator, which will be good as well. And then we have someone else. And so we're going to learn about what issues they're facing currently. And this is an opportunity for you to see, one, what it's like to be career coached by me. But more than that, two, this is my way of helping you address any issues that you're currently dealing with in your career. Because like I tell my group career coaching participants, jobs are hiring. They are waiting on y'all. And I need y'all to get into it. Let's do it. So I want to figure out what are the most pressing issues that you're facing currently and give you some strategies to work through that. Okay, so I just sent the email. I want to go live on my Instagram page, and then we're gonna get started. And I don't know how to mute my Instagram. Okay, so I'm gonna have to pin a comment. And for those who are watching the replay back as I'm setting up the room, drop in his Instagram comments what you do currently for where you work currently, um, and what is the biggest challenge you're facing in your career. And who knows, I may respond back to you if I see it in time. Um, and give you a tip or two. Hey, as y'all come in the room, I'm actually live on my YouTube page. The link is in my bio. Join me on YouTube. I'm coaching three social workers. I I just pinned, well, I'm going to pin at the bottom my YouTube channel, Marthea Pitts. Click the link. You can go in my link in bio. I have the first link there to my YouTube page. Click the link, come over, join us on YouTube. That way you can see where they were and what their issues are. Okay, Rochelle. Okay, Rochelle, do me a favor. Come on YouTube and drop that in the YouTube chat so I have it in one centralized location. But I love it. Okay. Um, okay, so let's get started. I think I did all of the logistical stuff that I wanted to do. Okay, Rosie, you are Rosa. But I see Rosie. Is it Rosa or Rosie?
Rosa is my full name. Rosie is what everyone calls me.
Okay, Rosie, because I wrote okay.
Yeah.
So Rosie is first up. Let me pin Rosie and let me pin myself. Okay, so I think I know Rosie's name from social media, but I have never talked to Rosie. And have I talked to you, Rosie?
We had I think I did one of the like pre-consultations with you. Yeah, and then this was months ago. This was while I was still doing my MSW program, so I was still completing it. So this would have been maybe early 2023, if
Oh,
not late 2022.
okay, okay. So let me hit record because I think I still can record on this. And it's still streaming. Okay, Rosie. So I will probably remember as you start talking, but tell me what's going on in your career. What's the biggest challenge? What's happening? Give me all of the details.
Yes. So I had finished my MSW program last June and convocated in fall of 2023, finally heard back, registered with our regulatory board, our College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers. And I can't seem to break out of frontline work. I've been doing frontline drop-in shelter work, supportive housing, case management. I cannot get out of it. And it's not for lack of trying. I search for a lot of, um, I guess, job postings that have to do with some other really macro level working. And no matter what, I tailor my resume, I tailor my cover letter, I focus on the really trying to highlight the achievements, the way that career counselors tell you to do, put in like the numbers and what are your outcomes and what have you like your goals that you've done to help said agency. Um, and I'm hearing nothing. I probably just this in the last few months, I probably applied to about maybe at least 5 jobs a week, and I hear nothing. Oh, sorry, Marthia, I think you're muted.
Okay, thank you. So, what are the jobs you're applying to?
I've applied to some hospital positions for like community mental health. I have only been able to do that recently because I've recently been accepted to the college. It took probably about 5 months to hear back from them for them to approve my application. Um, I tried for some like community development research positions with the city that I'm in. I have tried for post-secondary positions, so many post-secondary positions, various titles. It could be like in their counseling department. It's been like global equity. Um, I've applied to a few like even career counseling positions. I currently am in a program that does like employment skill training. Um, I have some experience like supporting people really navigating community resources related to career or work, education, training. Um, yeah, I'm really just trying to. I've even applied to manager level positions because of so much of my experience on the front line and nothing.
Okay, so tell me again, where does your experience lie? And I probably missed it because I was teching over here, but tell me again, where have you worked? What have you been doing in the world?
I have about almost 10 years experience working in frontline drop-ins. So drop-in for low income, homeless people experiencing poverty, all adults. I don't have any experience with children or youth. Um, Drop-in settings, shelter settings, supportive housing, and case management in an employment skill training program.
Mhm. And so were those all like case management level jobs, or were some of those supervisory leadership roles, program management?
I had a very brief position as a team coordinator during COVID. When COVID started, we had to move in my full-time job at the time. We had to move our location. And so I was in a temporary contract coordinator position. Um, but everything has just been like client service worker, community support worker, case manager, nothing in managerial except for that brief coordinator role. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think is happening? Let's start there. Where do you think the breakdown is?
I would like to believe that I just haven't found the opportunity to do something more, to level up, to get that managerial experience, to get into even a macro level. I follow your content so often, and I see that all these things of like, um, being really specific about where you'd like to work or who you'd like to work with, what kind of change you would like to do. Um, so to kind of like, for lack of a better word, to kind of cope, I just tell myself it's like it's just not that time yet, or you haven't found the right position. It's really competitive. I sometimes wonder if the breakdown is just I'm applying to jobs that I have like no experience in. Um, but I know you also say like if you have 60%, right? Like apply. And so I'm just like, I'm pretty sure I have 60% of these.
Okay, so when you're applying to those jobs, are you talked about like picking up strategies that are out on the, career streets. So when
Mhm.
you're applying for those jobs, you are tailoring your resume to
Yeah.
speak to what they're looking for. Give
Yeah,
me an
my
example of a bully, Rosie. What?
one says, oh, I wish I on the top of my head is like that I provided intensive case management for up to 20 clients in 3 program cohorts. I supported the coordination and intake recruitment of up to 70 applicants during our intake periods. I have successfully made partnerships with 3 local community agencies for ongoing therapeutic supports with our
Okay,
service.
okay.
Right.
Okay, I know what's going on. Okay, so there are two different things going on, and Rosie knows my sense of humor, I'm sure by now, right? Okay, so the first thing is that you got to get focused in on what type of job. Right now, you just applying to stuff, right?
Mhm,
And so
mhm,
every time you don't, and the reason you need a job search strategy, and that's the strategy is I am going to be applying for these types of jobs in these types of organizations, is to so you can be doing quality rather than quantity. Because we know the ill effects of quantity over quality as being case managers, right? So when you're job searching, you really need to be putting all of your efforts behind producing quality efforts. And so one of the ways you do that is by getting a targeted job search, getting clear on what types of organizations, right? Because you talked about higher ed, you talked about some like supervisory roles in social service or organizations. That's just how I'm summing it up.
mhm,
That's all over the place,
mhm.
right? So you got to get clear first. So we're going to talk about that. But then you also, when you get clarity on the types of organizations, that then will help you start tailoring your resume to be more targeted to them, right? So as an example, just a wild example, tell me again what type of job you applied for in higher ed. What was it?
I applied to one of their counseling positions in
Oh, okay.
their Center for Accessible Learning. Yeah,
Is that what you want to do?
I want to be. I would like to teach in a post-secondary. Yeah. So I
Okay.
was like,
You want to
work.
teach in higher ed?
Yeah,
Okay. So then why are we applying to the other jobs?
because
Because
I'm so fixated on just getting some experience
okay.
somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is good. Okay, because where I was going to go with that is then once you have clarity on the type of organization and job you want, that then helps you better tailor your resume.
Mhm,
Because what you have on your resume is real social worky.
mhm,
And for those who are new, I know it's not a word, it's just what I say because y'all can understand it, right?
mhm.
So you want to teach in higher ed or just work in higher ed?
I would like the experience of teaching, but I also really just like I love being in a college, university setting. I love being in post-secondary settings. So even if I found something that was in a post-secondary setting to give me that experience, and in my mind, I'm like, well, maybe I can get an internal position hiring, right? If I see that they're hiring, because I know sometimes in our field, it's really hard to find positions that are hiring for instructors or professors at all.
Okay, I love the strategicness about penetrating the system and then move around. That's a
Mhm.
great strategy. Okay, so do you live in a college town?
Yeah, we have quite a few universities and colleges accessible in our city. Yeah.
Okay. And this is just so I understand. Are you really wanting to move out of direct practice case management type work?
I think that there's a benefit to it. And so I think there's part of me that wants to hang on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you need to do, so you have clarity around higher ed, and at this
Hmm.
point you're open to a job that doesn't drain you completely to get into the system.
Hmm.
So your goal should be looking, your job search strategy should just be to focus on the universities in your area and any online universities that you're aware of.
Hmm.
And when you're looking, and I'm just naming this because you told it to me as an example, and it may not be an accurate depiction, but so what I'm hearing is that you're only looking at jobs that are like case management adjacent. I'm sure you've
Hmm.
heard me talk about it. I
Hmm.
consider academic advising case management adjacent. It's
Yeah.
just case management work. It's just in higher ed. Why? Because I worked in it. I know it, right? And I'm not trying to offend people, but it is.
Hmm.
So that's why I asked, like, if you're trying to get out of direct practice, you don't want to be looking at case management adjacent jobs, which is like that counselor job you named,
Right.
right? That's providing holistic supportive services to students. You are dealing with crisis situations, listening to intimate conversation. That's all case management adjacent work. So what you need to be doing, your strategy should be over the next 30 days to just look at all of the universities in your city or in your surrounding area or in your like radius or willingness to commute to the place.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when I say look at them, Rosie, I mean go to the job board, set job alerts, look through all of the jobs, right? You cannot, and this is for everyone listening, you cannot dictate or like pick up on what a job is just by looking at the job title because naming conventions for organizations are very different, right? So you're going to have to start training your muscles, like building up your job searching muscles. You're going to have to click open every job
Hmm.
and read through it. And when I say read through it, it's not going straight to the requirements. Does it say social work? No, that's not what we're doing. We don't even look. I teach my coaching clients not even look at requirements. You're looking at the description of the job
Hmm.
to figure out what's in there that is possibly of interest to you. Okay, so you have to be clear on what you're looking for. That's why I asked, like, do you kind of know? Okay. And so then based on that, that's how you start tailoring your resume. And the main thing I want you to understand is that you can't be talking about managing a caseload. I'm grouping those bullets you read as that
Hmm.
because you are pigeonholing yourself to only those types of jobs. You need to be focusing on higher level experiences. So just as an example, in a higher ed system, it's not uncommon. I know you're in Canada, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm still like building my muscle around Canada because I have someone in one of my alum. So I know a little bit about Canada, but not a whole lot. Um, but every college system is usually the same. So what you want to be looking at is initiatives, things that the university system is doing around like students and maybe mental health or supportive services. Food insecurity is a hot button issue in higher ed institutions right
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
Students are hungry. They don't, and colleges struggle with knowing how to connect them to resources or knowing how to provide intervention services. That's just one example. You can, if you're in it, and again, all of this is like a part of my career clarity work. It really depends on where your interests are. Are you passionate about student exchange? Like, what is it called? Exchange students. You need to be looking at every department, probably with the exception of like teaching departments. So that would be on the, what do they call it? Not academic affairs, student affairs side of university
Right.
systems. You need to be looking at all of the jobs because right now is when do y'all start college in Canada? Like when does the next semester start?
It'll begin in September.
Okay, September, yeah. So this is the time when higher ed institutions are hiring. So they have jobs up. So I want to be clear. You're going to be targeting the universities and colleges in your radius. You're going to be looking at the jobs, opening them up, looking at them, and applying for the ones that interest you the most. When you're tailoring your resume, you are not talking about managing caseloads. You're talking about support that is relevant to what they're talking about that you maybe have provided to, you said it was adults that you've been working
Yeah.
with,
Yep.
that you've been providing to adults, because students don't look just one way. They're all ages, they come from
Yep.
all walks of life. However, the fact that you worked in dealing with people who have housing insecurities, that's also a hot button issue for higher ed institutions, right? So there may be an initiative that a local college is having around connecting students to housing, but you won't know that until you start digging deep into their job board.
Mhm.
What questions do you have about that?
One about the sort of finding like, well, not looking for case management adjacent jobs, but if it is a way to get my foot in, is it then recommended?
Yeah, if it works for you, do it. That's up to
Yeah,
you. Yeah, if you're cool with it, do it. But you better have a plan
right,
to transition out. How
right.
many years are you going to be there? Is what are the career pathway opportunities within that institution? These are all things I teach people to look at before you even apply. But since we're working it this way, you need to be looking to figure out, okay, where do people go from these types of roles? Where do they go next in this system?
Mhm.
How many years will I have to be here before I can move to somewhere else? The problem is that people take jobs and they don't know about potential career pathway opportunities. And then that's how you get stuck and you look up and it's 5, 10 years later and you're still there. But
Right.
yeah, that's a great strategy.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a great strategy. And for you to double down on your applications now, because they are hiring now and in
yeah.
anticipation for the new semester coming, this is the time.
And one last question is
Yeah.
really just I've applied to one particular college, a couple of their instructor positions, and recently, because I have alerts for them, I came across another something similar to student affairs around student wellness. Is it okay to apply to multiple positions
Yeah,
for
you need
that
to be
particular?
hitting, yes, you need to hit apply on multiple jobs. I didn't want to like say it out loud, but yeah, you need, if that is your goal, you need to be hitting apply on all the stuff that you see.
Should I mention that in my cover letter? Like I have applied to other
No,
positions?
no,
No, just
no,
let them
no.
figure it out on their
I
own.
mean, it's a whole different, it's like they are completely different worlds.
Right.
Yeah, it's this is for everyone. Your career is a business. Start treating your career like a business. I know we are all heart-led individuals. If you engage with my content, that means you are mission-driven, purpose-driven, passion-filled. But it's at some point you all have to start filling yourself with the business mind. That's none of their business, Rosie. You don't have to tell them this.
Okay. Thank you so much, Martha. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
No, no, no. This was great. I'm very grateful.
So yeah, double down on the universities.
Will do.
All right. Thanks, Rosie. Keep me updated. Okay. So, good. So I am, um, Okay, I see y'all in the YouTube chat. I love it. And watch live streaming. I love it. Drop any questions you all have in it. I'm sure I will have an opportunity um to answer any questions, be it on YouTube or on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, we're live on YouTube. I'm coaching 3 social workers from around the world about their most pressing career needs and issues. Join us. The link is in my bio. You can watch live. Okay, so the next lucky contestant is Sarah. Sarah is actually a micro to macro career accelerator current cohort member. And when I saw her email, I was like, okay, let me set up the room. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get it a certain way. Okay, Sarah. So what is going on? Give me an update.
So last you and I worked on my resume and I honestly felt kind of overwhelmed and just like life in general overwhelmed. But I had some time off this week and I'm like ready to go back. And um yeah, I think still look at some jobs because I know I've been looking at a lot of in one area, but um, I kind of think I might want to get involved more with a local organization with my city, but I'm not sure. So I know I really need to be working on my resume and clicking apply, but I think it's like easy for me to think about everything I need to do and then just like not do anything.
Mm. Hmm. So
Like
what's
I guess I'm getting overwhelmed sometimes, but
yeah, that's what it sounds like. So what local organization, well, don't tell me the name, but what is the scopes of work of the local organization similar to what you were targeting? Wait, when we say local, are we still talking about macro organizations like the
yeah.
ones you found?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So you're
Like if I wanted to work for my city and do maybe like not the same work, but like I have a background with a lot of the severely mentally ill and homelessness, and like um, it's not the same issue, but like opioids and drugs, I think are something like I've had a lot of experience on the front lines with, and so I feel like that might be an easier pivot and something like I have a lot of knowledge about that have been thinking about. So
So you're thinking about targeting some macro organizations you found in your city that are doing work on those issues.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. What's the why is there a change of heart? Because I know you were super passionate about
I mean, I
gun.
think I just want like maybe more than one uh like niche. Like I see
Okay.
myself doing a lot of different things and it's not just like one thing.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You should diversify your job searching.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same types of jobs you've already been targeting?
Yeah, I think some of them are very similar, like what one I was just looking at. But I feel like one of the words and searches I've been using is like community engagement or community educator. And like some of that stuff is like, okay, that would have been an okay job while I was in grad school. But yeah, yeah, finding that right balance.
Okay. Yeah. So just for context for those who are watching, Sarah is the guru about like political liaison type work. She's done that on the local level, and that is the aim for the macro job, and that's what we've been working on for the last few months. So yeah, most definitely you can target other organizations because it's still about the scope of work that we identified in your resume and since what I will say though is we want to be clear that that is the focus that you want to be like focused on. I know that's a double word, but or is it like a confidence issue coming up?
Probably some of that, but I think this last week I've had like some more time and um yeah, and then I think I really just want to broaden the scope of what I'm doing because I'm sick of being a clinician full time. Like it's great learning and I'm happy to do some of it, but
Okay. I
I'm
like that.
always behind on my notes because I think I don't like doing them. So
Oh, yeah. Everybody's always, well, I know I used to be. I used to hide my files away in a disk drawer. Don't. Yeah, okay. I love that. I love it. It does broaden your options, and you're not shifting from the type of work that you discovered you wanted to do.
yeah, I think that's the thing I need to focus on is like using some more of those same job titles and finding them in this other scope of
Yeah,
practice.
I love it. Yeah, it's still the same because your focus is on liaison work with the political leaders, advocacy, all of the things. I love it. And again, just for context for the people listening, Sarah has done a lot of like local level work in her free time, just like many of y'all, in her free time, which can get her on paper to be like a top candidate for the types of roles that she's going for. This is why I'm always talking out loud to you all on social media, wherever you find me, about like the things that you do in your free time usually are the things that can get you a job. It's not connected to your paid experiences. And many of you are trying to like pull at straws trying to figure out how to make your paid work and your official job title the key to getting a job, and it's usually not in those experiences. And so through a lot of deep diving and career exploration work with Sarah, we have uncovered that she has done a lot of stuff that is a game changer to get her the type of job that she wants. So I love that. I love the focus. So do you have on that spreadsheet you've been compiling, do you have some target organizations already in mind?
Um, I mean, one of them is working for my city that I like, and like when I think about the mission fit alignment check, like I'm like, okay, I'm probably not gonna get hybrid work, and it's still gonna be kind of like that rigid environment that I wouldn't like, but maybe I would really get to do and be on some other side of work that I've done before that would make me not care so much about the rigid environment. I don't know.
Oh,
But then there's like some other organizations that, yeah, I want to start looking at where I probably could get that flexibility that I really am looking for.
yeah, I love it. I love the strategy, and I can't wait to hear what you find on Sunday during the next Q&A call for group coaching. I love it. If you need help, schedule an office hour session.
Okay. Yeah, I might do that this week.
Okay. What, did you have any other questions? This is good.
Um, I don't think so.
Okay. Um, have you had like any aha moments since our resume intensive about like, oh wow, I really did that?
Uh, no, because I haven't really looked and like I think I was like just honestly so it was intense last week that I kind of just needed a break and I think um now I'm like ready to get going again.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. I always warn people the resume intensives are a lot. That's why I'm always telling people like you need more than a resume rewrite. It's a lot of work with figuring out
Yeah.
the angle to pivot. So I'm glad
Yeah.
that you rested and you're back in the game. Okay,
Yes.
sure. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. So that was a good one. Okay, and so next we have Stacey Ann. Stacey Ann, I'm going to pin you. And thank you again for volunteering. Now give me all of the details. What's going on in your career life?
Um, so I guess you can say I'm a green social worker. I graduated with my MSW 2 years ago. So I don't have, I guess, a lot of post-grad experience. And I I guess I'm still trying to figure out what my social work identity is because I knew coming into grad school, I thought I wanted to be a clinician, but that doesn't really play to my strengths. Being a case manager also doesn't play to my strengths. So um, I am now in the position where I resigned from my last position on Friday. So I'm currently unemployed and I'm looking for a job that really speaks to my skills and it really is a good fit for me.
Yeah, I like that too, Sarah. I wrote that down. Play to your strengths. I love that. Okay, so what are your strengths?
So I am more a behind the scenes person. Um, I I look at myself as like a reformer and builder, so I like to look at the big picture, kind of figure out like what gaps or issues that need to be addressed and do some problem solving. Um, so my last role, I was a volunteer program manager and it was very people facing and it was much more people facing than I thought it was going to be. But the part of my job that I really enjoyed was like the program management aspect, looking at the whole logistics of the program, finding ways to make it more effective for our volunteers, onboarding, everything like that. So, um, I think in my thought process, I realized maybe I should be more task oriented than people oriented because, um, in that role, I felt like I couldn't people the way that they wanted me to. So it really has like put a damper on my confidence if I could really be in a certain role or like be in a leadership role. So I want to focus more on like operational side of like a program or program management, administrative work. That's still social work aligned. It's just I don't need to necessarily have my MSW to do the work.
I love that. Remind me one more time. So where have you worked in the last 2 years?
Um, so I started in higher ed because um in undergrad I was accepted to an educational opportunity program, so I wanted to work with low income students. So that inspired me to be an academic advisor. Um, that was a lot of students to manage and it felt very transactional and I feel like I couldn't really use a lot of my skills. So then I pivoted into the nonprofit sector as a program manager and then a program coordinator and then now a program manager.
What was the aim of that organization? What population issue?
The program coordinator role, it focused on recruiting because I'm currently in Georgia. We were trying to spread awareness about substance misuse to college students. So getting um like recruiting and onboarding new colleges into our program. And then my last role as a program manager, I was in charge of the volunteer program and it was a nonprofit school. So, volunteers are a huge part of our organization. So, I was managing over like 80 volunteers just in general, on top of doing other stuff. So, um, in that role, I knew that I can grow because there was opportunities for me to like do other things, but I knew that because of certain systems they had in place, I would get burned out easily if I stayed a little bit longer.
Mm. So I'm clear on you want something that's more task oriented versus people oriented. Are you tied to like any specific mission, issue, population? Are you okay with being in any type of organization as long as you are doing work that's based off of that really maximizes your strengths?
I do consider myself as mission centered, so a lot of the organizations just happen to be in education or students unintentionally, which, it aligns with the skills that I've and experience I've already had. But if I think about a dream role, I have a dream to pivot into corporate social work, so to get into like people ops or organizational effectiveness, learning and like all of that. Um, and I know that's like a big jump, so I don't really know how to get there. So I'm just kind of just trying to find my way.
Okay. So it's not a big jump because you've done that, right? You just did it. You just talked about all of the things you did, and I didn't get everything, but one of the things I wrote down is that you were responsible for like the logistics of the program that you managed. So that included many different things from hiring, program design, implementation, rollout, all of the things. Just unfortunately, you were also interacting with the people heavily because it was a volunteer type program, and then the other ones you named. So where do you come up against issues or problems when you apply to like people ops, organizational effectiveness type jobs?
Um, I think my issue was not feeling like I had to force myself to do people-centered, or not people-centered, but like people-facing work, me not really knowing how to define what I'm interested in. So I realized like program coordination is not really like, yes, is what I'm looking for, but that looks different in throughout other organizations. So in my past role, realizing like operations is something that seems to be more aligned. Not really knowing like what to look for, like what titles to search up, and just feeling like I don't have enough experience because I've only like been post grad for 2 years, and that I don't know if what I've done in undergrad is like relevant for me to like do something in that
Mm.
realm.
No, what you've done is relevant, right? We don't need to like, I'm saying this in case you ever toy with the idea. You don't need to go volunteer. Like you already have the experience. So what I would suggest for you is that you create a short list of, I'm going to say 50 because you're not working. Actually, it'll probably be more. 50 corporations or organizations, corporations, because you said corporate social work. 50 corporations that are like meet your requirements. I would have a good mix of mission-driven corporations, maybe some B corporations, for-profit corporations that do issue around something that you're interested in. Right. That comes with, like, if you're not clear on that, then you need career clarity work. But because you were trying to put out a fire right now, you just need to focus, find 50. When you are looking on their job board, you want to be looking at, because the job titles will be different. Again, naming conventions vary from organization to organization. So what you need to be looking at are the jobs that are categorized under headquarters, corporate, admin, whatever the title is that they have, and relate and like to distinctly say these are the people that work in our headquarters and not the people in the local, like whatever stores or whatever they do locally. And then you need to be looking, you need to use the strategy that I just gave Rosie of, you need to be clicking open everything to read through the job descriptions because their job titles are so very different, like you named. It's not going to say program manager. And right now, your eye is only trained to look at people ops type things, right? So, like, employee resource group leaders, but we are clear that's not the type of work you want to do. You could transition into that, but it will be people facing rather than like task driven. So you need to start working to train your eye to understand what are the naming conventions, but even more than that, it's called career exploration. I don't say it out loud a lot because it's a real technical term, but you need to get an understanding of what types of jobs exist out there in these corporations that are of interest for me to then start targeting them. But you first have to learn what's out there over and beyond just people facing jobs. So I say all that to say, like, based on what you named, you could roll into exactly what you just said, like logistical type positions, logistical planning. I would stay clear of anything that's like human resources connected because that's just academic affairs all over. I mean, what is it called? Academic advising all over again, just glorified. Um, I like to use Indeed. I know people love LinkedIn, and I'm giving you my trade secret. I love Indeed. Indeed works like a search engine, right? It works just like Google, where once you find one job title, all you need is one good one for the types of jobs you want to target. Like once you go through some of those 50 of the list of corporations and you find one type of job, you could put that job title in Indeed, and then it will pull up all of the comparable roles, which then will give you an idea of what other types of job titles out there for those types of positions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a process. It's not one way. Right. That's why I always tell people you can't go by a job title. There are a multitude of different things that you need to be doing. So just to recap, you need to create a list of 50 organizations, 50 corporations. Let me be clear, 50 corporations that you want to target. And if you need help with trying to figure out that 50, just brainstorm the ones that you are always drawn to. You're like, I really love their work, or I love to buy products from them. Right. I have someone in one of my cohorts. She loves air, not, I always say it wrong. I always want to say it's like one of those boho chic brands, right? And we're targeting them for a certain type of job because she loves the brand and she would love to align herself with that brand. So you can start with like brands that you use in your everyday life and then look at their job boards. What questions do you have about that?
Um,
And I can recap the steps again because I just realized I didn't do that.
I hmm. I guess my only concern with corporations is just like culture fit as well. So thinking about that too. I don't mind staying in the nonprofit space either. Um, but yeah.
So how do you define corporate social work? Because you use that word and I just ran with it. How do you define it? I should have asked that.
Well, I came across that on LinkedIn when I graduated because there's a corporate social work collective group. But I think anything that's focused on like HR and people ops, that's how I'm looking at it. Like the jobs that I mentioned,
Mhm.
um, DI, like stuff like that. But yeah, I not really familiar with any other.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. No. Because that's not going to be people facing work, right?
It's like I don't mind being people facing. I think it's like the balance of it
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. I think which I don't know if that's really career related. It's like I don't regret my degree, but it just might be a confidence issue of being like I'm more introverted, so like a lot of people drain me, and I'm like, do I have the best personality to like deal with people like every day on a certain level of basis without um me feeling like maybe I shouldn't be like a social worker or shouldn't be in this role. And that's how I felt in my last role. Um, so I think it's me more like building up my confidence, like I can deal with people, but just realizing like what capacity, because I really am people facing or people centered in the work that I do. It's not like one on one all
Yeah.
the time.
Okay. This is good, right? This is the whole introspective work that I tell people you have to do in your career. We have moved quickly away from picking from a list. And this is the time now for you to get clear on how you want your work to look. So I understand about being an introvert because I'm an introvert. Right. So for me, I am very clear. Like when I left that second case management job as the program coordinator in a shelter, I was like, oh no, I can't do that. It was too much. I was giving everything I had in that job. And I was like, I will do better in prevention focused work. Intervention work was just too much. I was too wrapped up in other people's business and I had my own business to handle. So that's when I started calling myself a prevention-focused social worker because I got clarity on the fact that intervention work is too much for me. Right. And so with that, that's when I started getting clarity on how I wanted my work to look. So I would encourage you to purchase, well, it depends on what you got going on. But for $25 at macroandpaid.com, I have a whole workshop on my career clarity framework. It's a framework. It's called the 3Ps framework. I use it with everyone. It has helped hundreds of people get macro jobs. It helps you get clarity on how you want your work to look like and what you want your role to be. And so I would encourage you to get clear on that first. And then to give you some quick wins, since you just named like you're open to other types of things, you can look at local, not local, but look at organizations. So are you passionate about students in higher ed, or is that something you fell into?
Something I fell into, but that's like at heart. Like I'll always have like a place in my heart. Like, yeah.
When you hit apply your MSW degree program, what was the goal?
Again, I thought I was going to be I was really pushing the therapist route because I felt like I had to be a therapist because everyone in my cohort was a therapist. And it was advanced standing. So then I realized that actually I kind of like program development. I didn't really have time to really figure out. So that's why I applied to be an academic advisor because
Awesome.
so
What's one issue you saw when working with the students in the last 2 years or working in those programs that you were like, oh, I wish I could do something about that, or oh, somebody really needs to address that thing?
um for the academic advising, if I was comparing it to my like experience, I guess it's weird tapping into like the social emotional learning of the students, kind of like giving them more time to really think about what they wanted to do, things that were affecting them. So that felt transactional, but it was 400 students I had to manage. So I was like, okay, burned out. But the program coordinator role, I again, I came in looking for problems, and that wasn't my job. They just wanted me to like flesh out the program that they already had in mind. Um, so it's like I'll come in, I'll look for issues unintentionally just because I feel like there's always a better way to do something, and I'll express the ideas, but it's like having long enough time to flesh it out, which is another concern that I haven't been able to stay at a job for like a year. Like it's always been under a year. So yeah.
Because you're bored.
Yeah. Which I feel like that looks makes me look like I'm like non-committal, like an issue, which I'm trying, it's yeah, and yeah.
Yeah, well, we are in a post-COVID world, so if it ever comes up a question as to why you've been in a position less than a year, COVID, I needed a different type of setting. You don't even have to go that far. COVID or personal reasons. That's what I used to use pre-COVID. Personal reasons. Okay, so this is good. So you should be focusing based on this new direction of discovery for me. You should be focusing on organizations that do work around students in college entrance, preparation. But when I say organizations, I'm not talking about case management jobs or organizations that's providing like direct service support. I mean, there's a national organization called College Board. They do national work around building the capacity and providing training support to colleges and universities around the country, as well as to their staff and to their faculty. And so not all they do is major. They bring the most important issues and put a light on them, and then teach these organizations, these institutions around the country how to tackle the problem, what systems and resources or practices can be used to do the thing. So going to Rosie about food insecurity, that is a hot button issue. Housing is a hot button issue. Um, so I say that to say, like, you can target a macro organization, a national organization doing work around students, because that's something for you. Because right now, you got to find the easiest route because you resigned. So you should be targeting organizations that's doing work around college, higher education completion, maybe even something around high school completion, because you work with college students who most likely a large percentage of them had just come out of high school. But when you're looking at those jobs, you're looking for the types of roles you named earlier: program management, um, or it could even be training and development, because you're not training the students, you're training the leaders, the university presidents, the departments of the department chairs. Like, you're training the key stakeholder groups, which is completely different from doing one-on-one work with students. And when I say training them, you're facilitating workshops, webinars, you're writing white papers. Are you okay with writing? Like, are you good with that? Yeah, that's macro work, right? So you should be targeting some national organizations. So you still need to get a list of 50 national, because there's a ton of them. Education does lots and lots of work around lots and lots of work around change making macro level issues, systems level issues, if that makes sense. I always say my dream is to get y'all social workers to be more like the educators, more so the K through 12 teachers, like educators. They are super passionate about change making work. But yeah, College Board is an organization. If you do a Google search on College Board, I will even give you the words of search national organizations that do work on college student issues. And I know College Board will be one, and then you can see what other ones come up, or you can even try the variation of what other organizations are similar to College Board or something like that. So again, anything that's in those national organizations will be what you're looking for. So you don't have to just focus on admin type work or program management type work. Anything in those organizations will give you relief. It will give you relief because it's not managing a caseload. It's the creating of the thing rather than doing the thing. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
So when you are tailoring your resume for those jobs, you talk about all of the things you did that you weren't paid to do. It's the stuff that I said earlier, the stuff that y'all do for free. That's the key to getting a job. So you talk about the program you design. You talk about how you establish those collaborative relationships and partnerships with those other people. You talk about how many students were served or engaged as a part of your new program, especially if engagement, and I'm just using these as examples, but they're real when dealing with students, especially if engagement was the issue. If before you came in, they only had 10 students in the program, and then you did some things, and then next thing you know, you had 100, you increased engagement. You want to talk about how you did that? What was your strategies? What were your techniques? And that's what you put on your resume rather than manage the caseload, conduct the biopsychosocial exam. They don't care about it. The key to getting the macro jobs are in those things that are not in your job description. The things you did for fun, the things that you did because you saw there was a problem, the things you did because your supervisor was trying to overwork you. That's what helps you get in the macro job. What questions do you have?
Um, I don't think I have any. Well, I guess like I it's mm.
Just say it, I can understand it.
It's like it's not like I mean, I'm only 25, so I know like I'm always like thinking about the future, but I guess it's not too late for me to like grow confidence, and if I wanted to be in a leadership position and people like I could. I just need to develop more skills and confidence.
Hmm. Confidence, what I found comes from is because, well, the reason why people have diminished confidence, specifically social workers, is because you all are doing everything under the sun with little to no like training and support. And so one of the things that I do with my career coaching clients is really help them become subject matter experts about one specific topic and area. And I teach them how to create their own training and development. And the more you know about something, the stronger your confidence builds. That's how I get on here every day and talk to y'all about macro jobs. I've been studying this for over 15 years. I know what I know, and I know that it's right. So my confidence increased. But if I got on here and had to talk to y'all about fixing a car, my confidence is going to be low. I wouldn't even want to get on. I probably wouldn't have my camera on. I would be stumbling over words. I wouldn't even probably apply for an auto mechanic job. I was like, I can't do that. So what I found is the key to why people's confidence is low is because you don't have enough career information. It's not due to something being wrong with you innately. It's just that you don't have enough information, especially if you engage with my content. That means that you're a planner. Like you just said, you planning for the future. Because I'm a planner. I track my people. And so when you don't have enough information, your confidence is not as high because you don't have enough information to make a well-informed decision or how to navigate a space. So I say that to say your focus should be on for right now until you get another job. And then we can start dreaming and ideating and all of the things because it's a process. But your focus right now should be on the national organizations, maybe even state level organizations that's doing work around higher ed student issues because you have been doing that for 2 years. And you probably even have done touches of it in undergrad, maybe even as a part of your student work experiences. All of that is relevant. Like if you were the president of a school committee, like a club or a committee or something in college, that's relevant experience. So that builds your confidence. What questions do you have about that? Did that make sense? And you
That
won't
makes,
hurt my feelings if you tell me no. So tell me so I can explain in a different way.
no, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's not you. It's just that you don't have enough information, but your confidence is there. And this is for everyone listening. This is why I was telling Rosie earlier, like your job search strategy has to be strong because every time you get a no, every time you don't get a response, that eats away at your confidence. But when you know what you know, it's going to happen. Right. And so I would strongly encourage you to target those types of organizations, double down on all of the experience that you was doing that wasn't in your job description to get the job. And then you can start dreaming about where you really want to go. Because it had to be bad for you to leave on Friday.
It was a mutual separation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to take time off? Do you want to get right back in the workforce? What's the plan?
I mean, I have time because I'm also like, I guess like they're covering. So I have like a buffer of 2 months to kind of figure stuff out. So I'm
Oh,
just, yeah,
so were you laid off?
it was a mutual separation.
Okay. Well, that's good. And you're still getting paid? Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that worked out well. However you negotiated it. Okay, so yeah, you need to be. Oh, it was okay. However it works, you're still getting a paycheck. I love it. Okay, so yeah, your next 30 days you need to be finding those organizations and applying. And well, I'm gonna say this to you. That looks like 3 jobs a day. 3 jobs a day. You could do it. Okay. Any other questions?
Mm.
All right, Stacey Ann, this is a good one. Okay, so we're clear on the types of jobs. So let me just recap because I like to put a bow on stuff. You're clear on the types of jobs you're targeting. You're going to create a short list of 50 target organizations. You're going to take a deep dive into their job boards to see what's out there, what sparks interest in you. Not looking at requirements, we're looking at job descriptions. And you are tailoring your resume each time to talk about those high-level experiences. And then 3 jobs a day. All right, Stacey, good work. All right, thank you so much. All right, so this has been good. Thank y'all so much for volunteering. I know it's very last minute. I pray that it was hopeful. I'm looking at the YouTube chat. Rochelle, first time subscribing. I am an inpatient psychiatric social worker in South Mississippi. The largest challenge for me is the lack of resources for the houseless population. Oh, okay. Rochelle, this is great information. Oh, you're welcome. Chrissy, hey Chrissy. I'm so worried about licensure. It almost scares me into doing macro. Well, licensure isn't required to do macro social work. That is a career myth because macro work is not just synonymous in organizations where social workers work. If you are seeing a license requirement, it's most likely because you are looking at a social work administration job. And social work administration is very different from macro work. Social work administration is like your program directors, program managers of your local like VA hospitals, or program managers, CEOs of your local nonprofits. Like I always tell people the easiest way to distinct the difference between a macro job and a social work admin job is if there are a whole bunch of social workers running around. That's a social work admin job. And they will require license. But because macro jobs are not in places where macros social workers work, well, where social workers work, it doesn't require a license. And from my knowledge, the last time that I know there was only one state that offered a macro license, and it's not a requirement, it's more of just to like certify you as a thing. But it's not needed. Chrissy says, I can relate. I needed to hear this. Oh, Michelle, I'm happy. Chrissy says, true. What macro could I do working with or for the military? I just finished my BSW and I'm beginning my MSW program in January. With the military, I would consider that to be more social work admin. And I'm sure there are tons of jobs there. I looked into that a few years ago. There was like a whole like family something or other, not therapists. So I think they call them like family counselors or something like that. I would consider a social work admin job for that to not be the person facilitating the services to the families, but maybe like the program manager or whatever they call that, whatever the equivalent is of the admin person. But I would encourage you to visit USA.gov or USA Jobs, usajobs.gov or something like that, where the federal government posts their jobs. I don't specialize in helping people get social work admin jobs or government jobs, most definitely not government jobs, because the federal government has free workshops and webinars to teach you how to get your jobs. It's free. I sat through all of them in 2019. They're very informative. They're led by the actual HR people. They tell you how to fill out their applications. They tell you how to ace their interviews. They tell you how to use their application portal, and it's all free. You don't have to pay anyone to write your federal government application. So that's why I don't provide that as a service. But yeah, just to be clear, I don't help people get social work admin jobs or federal government, like atypical admin type jobs, because I work with macro social workers and we don't work in those spaces. Well, we don't typically work in those spaces. Now, there are higher level roles where you could be policy, whatever, I can help you get that. But when it comes to like atypical social work admin jobs. I don't specialize in it. I have a whole video on my YouTube channel where I break down the difference between social work admin and macro level work and what it really looks like in the job market. Because the problem is many of you all are using the book definition and what your professors told you. And we love the social work professors, but many of them have never worked in the workforce. They only have worked in academia. Right. And so because of that, they don't know, which is not in their scope of work, they don't know what the jobs look like in the workforce. That's why many of you are struggling to get the jobs you want, because you're going based off of the scholarly definitions. And that's not what it looks like in the job market. So I would encourage you to watch that video. For those who are watching the replay or watching the live, if you want to meet with me for 15 minutes to learn more about the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator and how I could possibly help you on your macro career journey, the link is down in the description box. And what else do I have down in the description box? Let me see. I put something else down there. Oh, and I also put information there about the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator. But other than that, thank you all so much for joining me on this beautiful Monday to talk about all things macro careers. Have a wonderful day. Happy macro career planning. Bye.